British Director of European Christian Mission. A couple of years ago, leaders from across European Christian Mission were praying together and asking God to clarify our strategic plan for the next few years. He showed up. And one of the four things he clearly said to us was that ECM needs to become more of a prophetic voice in Europe today. As individuals, some of us were excited by that, while others found it a bit stretching, but we felt that God had spoken, so we needed to respond. Eventually, I was asked to champion this issue to ensure that we wouldn't get busy and forget about it. Hence, here I am. As a result, I've done a series of face-to-face seminars to help people like you think about how before we can speak for God, we have to listen. We have to listen to Him, and He has a lot of truth to tell us. But we also need to listen to our communities and look for where those two come together. We don't need to say everything all at once, just the truths that God has spoken for those around us today. But we still need to do more. This is the first of two videos to help you think, either on your own or ideally in groups, about how to move forward into being a prophetic voice for God in your part of Europe today. So, let's start with God. How big is the God you serve? Let me be clear here. The size and strength that you see God to be doesn't change anything about Him. God already is. But how you see Him certainly affects how much you're ready to rely on Him in your life and ministry. One of the things that actually brought me to ministry in Europe was a concern about how little is expected of God in many Western contexts. Here, where we have so much and life is so comfortable, it's easy to turn to medicine or strategic planning or insurance or instead of expectant prayer. And our frequent reliance on what we can do and all the things we have isn't just a shame, it's wrong. Because Jesus says, all authority on heaven and earth has been given to me. All is pretty big. He also said, I will be with you always. Always is pretty big. We need this bigger God, even if we can't always comprehend what He's doing. It's been said that if God were small enough to be understood, He wouldn't be big enough to be worshipped. Our faith level needs to start with us seeing God the way the Bible talks about Him, not based on what our experience or our culture says about Him, because He is big. And He wants to do big things. There is nothing small about our God. And however big you see Him to be, He is bigger still. So, let's move on to you. Is your identity based on what life and other people have told you about you, or is it based on what the Bible says? What are some of the things that the Bible says about you? One of them is that you are an ambassador for Christ. 2 Corinthians 5:20, it says, we are ambassadors for Christ. So you are an ambassador for Christ. Not you might be someday, or you will be after you get more training, but you are. You already have all the special position and privileges of an ambassador. You are already representing a heavenly kingdom that you have already been made a citizen of. What else does it say? It says you are a light. Matthew 5:14 says you are the light of the world. Doesn't matter how dark society looks around you, you bring God's light into that place. And where the light shines in the darkness can never extinguish it, as John chapter 1 promises. Also, you are sent by Jesus. I find this one amazing. John 17:18 reads, "As you sent me into the world, so I have sent them into the world." Jesus said that just as God sent him, he is sending you. Think about that. God trusted Jesus to represent him, to speak for him, to show his love. And Jesus has sent us to do the same for him. So Jesus has sent you. You are also a disciple maker. Matthew 28:19. In that, Jesus commands, "Go, therefore, and make disciples of all nations." Just as Jesus invested his time in others, and through them his kingdom grew and endured, you are chosen to forever change the lives of those you spend time with. There's more. You are also a messenger. In Acts 1:8, Jesus promises, "You will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth." You are one of his witnesses, wherever you are. Albania, Netherlands, Spain, Portugal, England, it doesn't matter. You are to tell others about what he has done in your life. If you are all these things and more, it only makes sense that you should be speaking up for God and being a prophetic voice to those around you. But to do that takes faith. Faith is a good biblical word, but to help us think more about it, I'm going to focus on some normal words. Do you have a dream? Do you have a dream for what God could do where you live? Is there a picture in your mind of what it could look like once God has touched and healed it? Faith is how you get there. What do you want to see to increase? What do you want to see grow where you live? What is the fruit that you want to look forward to that makes the effort and the sweat of planting and watering now worthwhile? Faith is the fertilizer needed to bring about that harvest. What are you believing God for? What has he promised you in the past that you're holding on to, waiting for the day when it will finally come to pass? Faith is how you persevere while you wait to see the promise fulfilled. Are you ready to take risks? Doing what you're doing now and getting the same results tomorrow is safe, but it will never give you an increased harvest of a 60 or 100-fold. Faith does that. How about courage? There's no challenge, then there's no need for boldness. In Acts, we see the apostles praying for boldness in the face of persecution and danger. And then we see God deliver it in abundance. How? Through their faith. What innovation? What innovation would you love to try, but you're concerned that it might fail or that the people watching will judge you for it not succeeding? Do you have the faith to try it out? And what are you really expecting? Have you had so many years of discouragement and struggle that you're afraid to expect anything more than business as usual? Faith opens the door to greater expectation. It's been said that the opposite of faith is not doubt, but fear. Fear leads to paralysis and inaction. Faith, by its very nature, results in courage. So, what do we have so far? So far we have God, you, and faith. How you see these three things will affect, well, everything. How you think, how you live, how you see other people, even what you do. But if you see how big God is, and if you add to that seeing yourself the way God sees you, and if you add to that faith to expect God to move, then wow, you'll be ready for God to act like God through you and bring change to your corner of the world. You'll be prepared for his kingdom to come on earth as it is in heaven. You won't be satisfied living in a community where Satan holds sway and where evil appears to win and where the poor and the weak are trampled upon. If all these areas, God, faith, and you, are right and healthy, you can truly expect more. Jesus talked about how faith as small as a mustard seed can grow into something amazing. About how faith can move a mountain and throw it into the sea. You don't have to have perfect faith to make a start. Just a little faith, if placed in a big enough God, can make a huge difference. Today is the right time to expect more of God, of you and of your ministry. Look out for my next video where we'll be thinking about how you can apply your faith in our big God by speaking prophetically into your local community and perhaps even across Europe. And if you'd like ongoing inspiration to help you continue to expect more from God and in your personal life and ministry, I'll be producing an ongoing series of short online talks called just that, Expect More. You can subscribe by clicking on the button at the lower right-hand corner of the screen. This is Kent saying, keep expecting more.